Welcome back. Feels like it has been kind of a long time. And I guess it has since I've been sick and my brain has been melted. But today we are going to wrap our Mad Men series with a very special and distinguished guest. We are joined in studio by a man who has shaken hands with John Hamm, a man who has dined with Sir Patrick Stewart, a man whose caricature is displayed publicly in Sardis. Here's a man who's written books with an S. He was even on The Simpsons, for Pete's sake. He dances, he sings, he acts. The one, the only, Batman, Bryan Batt, Mad Men, Salvatore Romano. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for that great introduction.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
We
that.
try to build
Anything that you feel like I've done something.
we try to build our guest
You
up,
know?
and you have a very long and storied career, and we appreciate you indulging us with our obsessiveness about Mad Men.
Well, I'm glad to help. I'm glad to help. It was a highlight. I must say, it was one of the most wonderful things I ever had the pleasure of doing.
That's awesome.
So, and the repercussions of it since have been just really enriching. So I'm totally, completely, 100% grateful.
Totally. How are things in New Orleans today? It's cold as fuck in Georgia.
I am sorry, but it's been absolutely gorgeous
Okay.
for the last 10 maybe days. Like, it's been clear. Today's a little cloudy, but it's been sunny and literally, like, it'll start maybe in the high 50s and maybe get to 70.
Oh, perfect. That's the perfect weather.
You could do worse than that.
Well, the apocalypse is coming when that happens.
Right.
Right. And that is the bittersweet nature of it all. It's like,
keep it cold, keep that Gulf of Mexico cold. God damn it!
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. It's we've had what I call false spring in Georgia for the past week or so, and today a huge storm came through, and the temperature has dropped 15 degrees in the past 2 hours.
I hate to say it, I wish it would come here. Send it along.
I think you might just be out of the range of this wild storm system.
Yeah, my birthday's on Friday, on March 1st, and years ago for my 50th, we had a birthday party here in the house, and it's usually warm. And all of a sudden, there was this cold front that came through. We cranked up the heat, and had all these people in the house and had heaters outside, and opened the windows. I can't remember the whole scenario, but we couldn't get heaters or something. And one of our friends from New York said, usually when it's cold outside, you close the windows and turn but we had planned on it being open air.
Yeah,
so
totally.
You'd have to go with the plan.
Totally.
So, enough of the weather. Yeah.
So, Bryan, we usually start off most of our interviews with a similar question, and I think it might be a good way to jump in here. You seem like a very stylish dude from our research and seeing your photos. Do you happen to remember kind of an early or the first memory of a piece of clothing fascinating you?
Several. I remember having to get dressed up to go downtown to get my picture taken with Santa Claus. And I was from a very somewhat conservative, I would say upper middle class. I wouldn't say, because when I say upper class or wealthy, I've met people like crazy ass wealthy.
Right.
But we were not
sure.
Very comfortable. But I was born in 1963. My parents were born in the 30s, early 30s, and they grew up in the 40s and the 50s. So there was this sensibility, and even back then, that you dressed up to go downtown.
Right.
So I had on these little wool shorts with the knee socks, and I remember this little camel coat, this old coat, and my little matching cap. The only problem was it had to be at least 80 degrees, but I had to get my picture in this little outfit. But I also remember doing they were for one of the little shopping centers or one of the little department stores. They had fashion shows, and somehow I got rooked into doing it. And it was Buffy and Jody from Family Affair. The curly-haired red Johnny Whitaker was his name, and he came into the host. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I remember loving the clothes there. But the one thing I do remember the most was I think I was either in kindergarten. I might have been 5, I think, but I wanted a pair of flare pants. Now, I might have been 4 or something. It's before they used to make everything for kids. So you couldn't get jeans when we were little. I mean, they were work things, and teenagers had them.
Right.
They didn't make them all for kids. And my parents were going to London, and I was going, all I want are flare pants. They should have known then.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember which interview we were reading with you, but you mentioned like your parents going to Europe and all you wanted were like flares or bell bottoms, and you were like, yeah, they didn't make them for kids.
Yeah, that and puppets. Yeah, yeah. And I always loved fashion. I mean, I was into it, and then I don't know what happened, but I think middle school, you kind of things start. You start to like, where am I going to fit? And I went to a
Hmm.
very kind of preppy kind of school, and that was also the big rise in the preppy look, which I really did like. I kind of took it to like a little further. Like my parents were throwing a party with a bunch of their friends for family member from some friends of the family was getting married. The group I loved my parents were so much fun, and their parents, their friends, and all the kids got along too. And it was almost like inherited family in a way for generations.
Yeah.
So some of the kids were older, they were getting married. They said, Bryan, you need to go get a suit. And I went to the men's store and I came back in a gray worsted wool, like I looked like a fucking banker. And I was all I think I was 16 because I will never forget I had a date with her. She's still a good friend. And she's just a blonde bombshell, just gorgeous. And wild a mane of blonde hair. And she had on a linen, almost like a Marilyn Monroe dress. And we go to the door, and one of my dad's friends, hey, Bryan, what's with the big boy suit? And then he took a look at my dad. He goes, oh, big boy date, you know. And
Nice.
but I was really into that, like the bright colored, like the Kelly green pants and the corduroys with the embroidery and all that stuff. And
Right,
it was
right.
really, and then suddenly, like in high school, I started to get this itch for more GQ looking things, and it was a very, then I started to model in college for extra money, and I started to get into like, oh, high fashion, and all the while I would design stuff. I love designing clothes, both men's and women's, and I
Interesting.
really was into that. I mean, I'd like design. My mom would have to go to a Mardi Gras ball, and I would design the gown or some other things, or it was really. And when I got up to New York, I've always been into it since. But I went to Parsons. I took several classes at Parsons School of Design.
Oh,
Really?
that's
Yeah,
great.
and I dropped.
See, this did not come up.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
swear it is not in an interview that you're a designer at all.
Really? Oh no, really? I
Yeah, that's crazy. That's amazing.
a friend of mine from college. He's a big artist. His name's Brantley Elsie, and we both did plays together. He's from Arkansas, but he lives in Memphis, and he's an incredible artist. And he found, I don't know how we did several plays together, some of my sketches of these men's sweaters, and the guys have spiked hair, and they're all hand knits. That's when Perry Ellis was doing all these great hand
Right.
knits, and I was so into.
Right.
But no, yeah, I've always. In fact, my nieces were just. They still do this here in New Orleans. They do this big debutante thing, and they
Hmm.
were presented at several balls, and they were queens. So one was queen of the different ball, and I helped them with design their
That's
gowns,
great.
and I had fun with that.
Yeah,
I always loved it.
yeah.
Always was into it.
I mean, have you ever really had thoughts about starting your own clothing line?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did. I just think it's a little late. I mean, I would love to help or try. I mean, I think, I was so busy acting and I that's a whole nother world
Oh, absolutely.
that actually all I know is what I like and what I think works, and someone else would have to handle the business and like how many bolts of this and how many sizes of this do we make, and
Right.
Right, right.
I wanted to do a dinner jacket. I really was thinking I wanted to do a line of evening dinner jackets during Whiteman Mad Men, because even before that, friends of mine moved to Hong Kong, Singapore, no, Tokyo, and we did some side trips. And they said, just bring, if you want to have any kind of suits made or copied, bring them with you. They'll have it done in a day, and it's great. So
Hmm.
I brought a dinner jacket that I loved, and I brought some seersucker fabric, and I had this seersucker dinner jacket made for just to have every. And now listen, this is like after the first season of Mad Men.
Right.
So we're talking, back then. I had it made then, and every time, I don't wear it all the time, but every time I've worn it, I get incredible amount of compliments on it.
As a
So
Southerner, this sounds amazing. And I really hope that you have photographic evidence that you can pass along to us.
I can go get it for you. It's right over here in the closet.
Uh,
You want me to?
yeah,
I'll,
we would love to
after
see it.
show it to you.
Yeah, yeah. We will.
Okay.
We're doing audio only, but yeah, for our
Imagine if you will. Yes. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we definitely want to use that to promote. But wow, that is maybe the best answer we've had for that question
Yeah, talk about
so
a hidden
far.
talent, because I don't think that a single person
Yeah,
has
not
said that
not a
they
single
that they
person.
design clothes.
Oh no, I've always loved it. In fact, Janie Bryant, who's a costume designer on Mad, is a dear friend, and we've talked about it. We had so much fun when she would make our closet, was what she called it, for each character. And before we'd start filming, we would go to Western Costume in LA, and she would have pulled all the suits and everything that we might need for that season. Some things were made. I think Brooks Brothers provided the shirts, the shirts and shoes. And oh, I hope that is not someone at my door that I'm supposed to let in.
Oh, it's okay.
That would be
Yeah,
a-okay
yeah,
if
Can we
we can
pause for
pause
one
it.
second?
Yes,
yeah,
we can.
totally.
Yeah, we have the
It was
technology.
That's amazing.
fun.
Wow.
So good.
Anywho, sorry about
Oh, no
that.
worries, no worries.
No, no. We have a casual program here.
The only one here. So we were talking about Janie Bryant making the your closet, and like we'd meet, and she would have all these clothes in, and say the show started in 1960. Well, she had suits from 57, 58, 59, maybe a few 60, because just because it's 1960 doesn't mean you're going to wear everything from that year. And and she's totally smart, and a bit of fan, of course, of costume and costume design, and worked with some really great costume designers on Broadway, like William Ivy Long. I mean, it's some incredible people, and Anthony Powell, who's the late great LA, and I never really realized what also a TV or for the film, because although we were on television, we were filmed. It was one of the last TV series that was made on done on film. That texture and attention to texture and fabric is even more so because you can see it. It gets
Yeah.
close, and she did all the period undergarments for the women. We did not have to wear
I
period.
see that. I put in that as a joke question. Do you have to wear period skivvies?
No, no. We had to wear.
That's amazing.
I never got notes on my underwear, because I like to be. I don't like anything moving around too
Yeah,
much. I
yeah.
like. I like to be.
Are you a boxer brief man?
I'm a boxer
Yeah,
brief.
yeah. Same.
The boxer
Yeah,
brief. Yeah. I'm joking, but I'm gonna drop a name. Uniqlo.
the
Right.
best, dude. For like
The
basics,
aerisms,
incredible.
right? But the aerisms. I mean, it breathes. It doesn't. I'm a big fan. Uh, so you sit there in the room, and like when we first met, we just clicked because I told her how much I love fashion and design, and also that period. I've always had an affinity for that era of clothing and design. I've always loved mid-century modern, little bits and pieces, not one whole like a whole house done that way. It's like we don't live in the past. It's like when you go to some
Right.
home and it's all done in Louis the 15th. Like I'm sorry, you're not that's done. But
Yeah.
mixing iconic pieces together, that's what I love. Anyway, we were talking and we just hit it off, and we had so much fun. So she invented Sal separate. So I would mix my vests and my jackets that didn't match my suits. So she called them Sal separate. So it's kind of like Sal Garano.
Right.
Um, and but we didn't get. I mean, but some people in the show, I won't say who, would like give her grief, But like, I don't like this color on me, and a man, like, this suit doesn't. And I'm like going, it's a suit. You look great. It fits you like it's perfect. And it's you're like that's what I say when you have someone that great. Like I can't remember who it was, but she was doing a show with Theone Aldridge, who has won like 95 Tony Awards, and wasn't liking her costumes. I'm like going, you might want to trust the expert. They might know something that you don't know about their field of expertise. Obviously, someone else thinks they know it, but anyway, I loved everything she put me in. I remember one time, I think it was something during the Red Scare that it was a Christmas thing, and I can't remember was it with Castro and everything, and
Hmm.
had me in a red blazer or red sweater wrapped around. And Matt came up on set. He goes, no, 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 no. He would never. No one would wear red during that because that was a communist color. And like, oh my god, the detail. I mean, the attention to everything. But
Yeah.
the only thing that we had, I as an actor, I thought, Oh my God, she is trust is sometimes a choice of cufflinks. There'd be a couple to choose from, or a couple of choices of socks. I remember one time I'm walking from my trailer onto set, onto into the sound studio, and she is following me, taking pocket squares out and sticking them in. No, no, like it's hysterical. But
Wow.
I love her, and I think she's so talented, and just her use of color and texture on that show. She just created she perfected that world.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I think is the most standout about the show is literally that meticulous detail on every single front. And yeah, I admire her work.
I watch other period. I watch other period pieces now, and it's not like my eye goes to find anachronisms or something that's wrong. But when they are, it is so glaring to me, like a hairstyle. I saw
Right,
something recently that took place in the 50s. I'm like, he would never have his hair falling in his face like a Beatle,
right, right.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's
And
kind of the whole thing about that
unless he
hairstyle.
was a beatnik, and he was not a beatnik, this actor. And there were some other things that and unfortunately, that takes me out.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
I remember when I watched Titan, and they had a painting. I think in one of them, with the older couple was, the water was coming in, and it was this Abasso, and it looked like the Mademoiselle de Avignon, and I'm like, that didn't go down in the Titanic. You know, so
I'm
kind of
glad that
makes
we
me
are not
crazy.
the only people that think about this. Like you, in your vast career, also have this like nerdy aspect to it, which makes me so happy.
And it's not like I look for it. You know, I'm one of these people. I don't try to find flaws. You know, but if it's that
Yeah, because
glaring,
they're out there
if it's
too.
that glaring, it'll take, unfortunately, take me out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know, it's just that's not right.
totally,
You know,
totally.
if it's about immersion, right?
right? Yeah,
That's
and
kind of the
it drives
point.
like it also drives me crazy when you create this fantasy world. If this is totally different than Mad Men, like you're watching something that is a fantasy, and you set up these parameters, you have to stick to rules. I remember seeing a musical on Broadway about Dracula. I think it was called Dracula, and he ends up dying by a gunshot wound or something, stabbed by silver. Like, no, vampires, stake through werewolves, silver bullet. You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
these are the ways. You can't have this. You know, like what was the movie It? Oh, never mind. I won't go. I won't go there. It's because Janie did the costumes. Where are the rules? Just there were no like. Even though it was a scary, crazy, scary movie, I'm like going, where are the rules? This is the latest It.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am not.
A student asked me,
Like he
what if I
could do
saw
anything.
Pennywise right down the hall? What if I saw Pennywise right there?
Yeah, right. What would
I was
happen?
like, I like clowns.
I did. So is that
As
what? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, of course.
No, no, you.
I was gonna say as a clown myself. Yeah,
We dressed as clowns all the time for Mardi Gras when I was old. My mom would, the whole family would, get dressed up as. There was always a theme. Then it
I
got
can a little bit understand the phobia, but it's like I guess it's just like a phobia. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be rational.
no. Most phobias are
And
not.
masks are scary potentially.
Hmm. Well, I'm used to them coming from here
Yeah,
Right,
right.
right. Yeah.
because we would mask for Halloween, would mask for Mardi Gras, and people were already having costume parties. So we have a costume closet.
Yeah, wow. I was gonna ask and maybe that is the answer to this question. What is your favorite thing about New Orleans? Like of
God,
all of the amazing things.
it's kind of this sensibility that at the drop of the hat, at drop of a hat, there's going to be some kind of celebration. Like I said, we celebrate everything from life, from births to funerals, and everything else in between. There's always going to be an excuse to have a good time. You know, life's too short. I'm a firm believer. That's what I love. But we just had Mardi Gras down here, and it's kind of funny. My husband's not from here originally, although we've had our business here. It's going to be we're going on our 21st year. I know we go back and forth, but he considers himself now a New Orleanian, and he is more into putting together his Mardi Gras costume than I. And I love that. I really do. It is there's all these different aspects of Mardi Gras. Like like I said, my nieces and the debutante balls. Like he's like, pick one or two. I'm going to one or two of them, of course. But on Mardi Gras, one year, one of my nieces was Rex is the main one, the king of Mardi Gras, and it's a big honor. And she was a maid in the court, and another one was presented one year. And he's like, okay, but we had to like go have a great time during the day, then run home and nap, put on tails, and then go downtown where everyone's just still going crazy, and we're walking through in tails to go to this ball. Look it up. You can see it, the meeting of the courts. Look it on YouTube. The meeting of the courts, Rex, and Google it, and you'll see. I can't remember her year. I think she was 2018, 2017, and then one was 2020. But you can just watch this last year or year before. It's very ceremonial, and it's all it's but it takes place in the evening of Mardi Gras, and then there's a party, and everything ends at midnight. Everything stops. They come down the streets with the horses and the things to clean up all the trash, and everyone has to leave by law. By law. And there's all these traditions that I really like, and some of them I think are stupid, but some are great traditions. But I love also how New Orleans celebrates itself. It loves itself. The architecture here is absolutely beautiful, and not just the French Quarter. You drive all over the city, and uptown is filled with all these gorgeous, Victorian houses and little tiny, we call them shotgun houses, and the Garden District has a steamboat Gothic, and it's just everywhere you turn. And they'd rather preserve and keep this gorgeous architecture going than tear it down and put up something modern. If something is totally destroyed, then they'll tear it down and put it. But it's rather celebrating a history.
Right, right. Are you a literary person?
I mean, I wrote a play that I'm hoping will get done in New York. I did it here, and we have producers, and we're just waiting on some rights issues. Called Dear Mr. Williams, and it's a little story of growing up in New Orleans and getting out, but it's also told through Tennessee Williams words. So one
Hmm.
third of it is Tennessee Williams words, and two-thirds are mine, and he guides me, and I go back and forth playing. So, but yeah, I would like to think of myself as literary, but I'm horrible. I get on this damn computer, and it takes me away from my huge stack of reading.
Right, right. Don't we all? Don't we all?
That is the struggle of modernity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other day, I was kicked off, or somehow I got off of Instagram or first it was Facebook. I can't remember what happened, and it took a while, and I had to couldn't get on for some reason. Everything was blocked. My phone had blocked Meta or something, the number from Meta to send me the code to get back on because I mean everybody else can send it. I get it from my doctor. I get it from my bank accounts and all that stuff. But for some reason, this one was blocked. Couldn't get it, and I finally they said, "Well, this is a way you can, Facebook, show your passport. We'll scan your passport or your license." It's like okay, and I did it, and then I told my husband. He's like, "Kidding me? That's steal your identity." So I that called the place that used to be called Rent a Nerd, but now it's called Help Me Out. He got on my computer. It's like I've never heard of this. You're gonna have to change all your passwords, which I did, and I couldn't remember any of them anymore. And then I had to change, freeze all the credit things because if someone tried to open up a credit card in my name, anyway, turns out it was legit. That's how Facebook and Meta, does the checks on your true identity. Came back in the code
Yeah.
on. Next day, Instagram says there's been some suspicious stuff. We need to prove that you're not a robot. Okay, I'm not. And I did like press the squares with the bicycles. Did that.
Right.
I said, well, let me log out and try to get back in. It's been 2 weeks. I finally got back on
Oh my
yesterday.
God. Yeah. What
It was
what a
Wow.
fucking time to be alive.
right. I know so many reasons. I'm like going, maybe it was just a little earlier
Yeah,
because
yeah.
man, the shit that's going down. I never thought I'd ever see in my life.
It's truly, truly. And Connor would probably disagree. I'm not a complete Luddite. I know how some technology works, and I try to use the technology that I want to work. And half the time, it's like that shit. Like, oh, cool. Yeah, this
Yeah,
this thing that should just work
I'm
does not.
yeah.
Passwords just are not good. They're not good. Passwords don't. They're for many reasons they suck. We need to figure out a better way to do it. No one can figure out a better way to do it.
Well, I have this face identity thing on my phone, and it doesn't accept me, and it's my
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, like the fingerprint scanners are kind of wonky. Like the Face ID
Yeah.
shit doesn't work half the
We have it
time.
at Whole Foods now.
So
We
it's
have the self checkout. You put your face or your fingerprint and all that stuff. I
very
purposely
scary.
screw up
Very
just
Yeah.
scary.
I
I
refuse to
really
engage with any of that shit.
I try not to, but because it's like, why are we get first of all, those machines always inevitably, like at least one out of three times, someone's gonna have to come over and help.
Oh yeah.
If you're buying liquor or something goes wrong or whatever, just hire someone to do it. And those machines are costing so much. And also people can scam them.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally.
They made it very hard to get around by
Because
this
yeah,
point.
theft is like, well, I know people, well, I don't want to say, but I've seen people like, not put the when they're weighing their salad bar stuff,
Right.
holding it up and just putting their finger down, just getting and like, oh, it's only $1. They have this whole,
The
uh,
Giant by my house, it weighs the paper bags individually. So if you take a paper bag
uh,
and don't account for it, you cannot proceed.
uh, then someone has to
Yes.
come over, a human being.
Mhm.
We're taking these jobs. I don't want to get political, but they're taking jobs away. It's like, some people, they're not going to, there's only certain work that they can do and they want to do it and get paid and have a job. And this is one of the jobs people can do.
Absolutely.
It's
And also, like,
to turn it over.
I feel
Yeah.
like most, I use self checkout a good bit because I just don't enjoy talking to people. Or I don't enjoy small talk, but
And you're doing this.
yeah, and I'm doing.
I'm kidding.
I am many
Matt is
dualities.
something of a masochist.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but like when I do, if I go get coffee somewhere and have like a 30-second nice conversation with someone, I enjoy that. And
Yeah.
like it's taking the human element out of a lot of things, and
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah, I'm
And then with
especially
computer, like,
like if you go somewhere enough, you kind of become a regular, and that's like a great feeling.
I
I
love.
liked being a cashier even. Like every time that I was a cashier, I liked being a cashier. It's like nice to talk. It's like a different 15-second interaction every time, you know
Well,
what I mean? It's just
at our shop at Hazelnut, if I'm not doing a show, or I'm not working, or doing a film or something, I'm usually there. And during the holidays, I'm like there 24/7 if I'm not working. And I try to schedule because it's a difficult time and it gets packed. And it really is fun talking to people. And I see people I haven't seen in a long time, or
oh
people
yeah.
because of the show, whatever. But I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the human interaction. Also, every once in a while, you get a jerk, but for the most part, not. At least for
Yeah,
us.
that's awesome. So Brian, we've already talked a little bit about how stylish you are. Like we noticed kind of scrolling through a lot of your Instagram posts, you and your husband both dress exquisitely, and you have a lot of soft-shouldered Italian-looking stuff.
Hmm.
Kind of like what how would you describe your style and some of obviously you've been into it for a long time, kind of your style influence?
I think I'm a classic with a twist. I like sometimes I like a little punch
Right.
here and there. I love during the summer, I love what I call fuck you pants. They're like
Yes.
Yeah.
really
Yes.
easy. And I wear it with like a white oxford shirt or a blazer. But one time for one of the Mad Men parties, I wore these Moschino, they were black and white hibiscus, floral pants, white shirt, black blazer, and I got written up in Us magazine like what not to. And they said Thurston Howell. I can't remember what's up. They were referring, calling me Thurston Howell
Oh, the
or
Gilligan's
something like,
Island. Yeah.
Thurston Howell the wrong. But it was ridiculous. I thought I looked great. Janie thought I looked great. And the whole thing is, I don't care what they think. I mean, it's you get to a place in your style that you do have to not give a shit what anyone else thinks. And I
Right.
think at my age, I'm like, screw it. I don't care what. But sometimes, I'm getting dressed. I'm like, you turn back to like seventh grade, like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a, something like that. I don't want to.
Right.
And
Right.
right now, I love, like you said, the soft shoulder thing. I love. Are you familiar with Suit Supply?
Of course.
I love their stuff. I mean, I go in there and just think it's so beautiful, so it fits me great. I can walk in and just, and they have those great, some of the great double-breasted wide lapel
Oh
suits
yeah, yeah.
that you don't have to spend, $8,000, $9,000, which I would never spend that on a
Right,
suit.
right. They take a lot of
Never.
that
You know
like
what I mean?
classic Neapolitan and the stuff that Tom
Yeah,
Ford is influenced by and distill it into
right. Yeah.
an affordable option for the majority of
Well,
people.
I mean, Tom Ford, please. I mean, can I tell you my Tom Ford
You
story?
can absolutely tell us your Tom
Hell
Ford
yeah.
story.
First of all, hands down, my favorite video, and it's on YouTube. I want to say it's 2004, but I think it's his last winter fall runway show when he was with Gucci.
Okay.
I think it was
Yeah.
his last one, and it's this one way, and his poles, and he had both male and female pole dancers wearing like Oxford shirts and just underwear and socks. And I wanted everything that came down that runway. He had, and the guys walked down the runway with tumblers of scotch or bourbon. It was, it was just everything I love about fashion, and these great dinner jackets and the red velvet. It was just the coolest. But I met him at a BAFTA party during the height of Mad Men. And I remember, because their things are during the day. They had like these teas, during the day. And
Hmm.
I was there, and I can't remember. Tom was out of town, so I went by myself. I went solo, and I went in, and then I saw all these stars around. And everyone's like being cool because it's we're all in the same boat. Everyone's nominated, blah blah blah. And I see Julianne Moore, and I get kind of like, oh my god! And
Right.
I think she's fabulous, and I loved her in everything since I watched her on soap operas when she played twins. It was double the fun. And I'm like, I got all nervous, and I was like going, oh, you know what? She's an actor. You're an actor. You know, she's here. Just go say hi. So I go to the bar, and I couldn't get up my nerve to say hi. She turned around. She sees me. She goes, oh, Bryan, right? I love Mad Men. And started talking like, I want you to meet my friend, Tom Ford. I'm like, God. And the day before, January Jones had said, I said, who are you wearing, to the Emmys? And she said, well, Tom Ford's making me a dress. And I said, okay. So in conversation, I said, oh, and by the way, I hear you're dressing my friend January Jones for the Emmys. And he goes, I only dressed you.
Oh,
Silence. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, all right. Nice meeting you. I'm going to go get my wine.
Wow.
that,
It was weird, but he's so talented, so fucking talented. And
absolutely.
I mean, he redefined it, and I still think it'll never go out of style. Those wide lapel dinner
Well,
jackets that he did with
like you
this
said, a
great
lot of it
pattern.
is classic with a twist, which for
Mhm.
it's not for everyone. I'll give him or you know give the line that, but it does just
Yeah.
look timeless, for lack of a better word.
Yes. And the whole thing is like, I love now that everything is not for every, that there is not like when we, in the period of Mad Men, everyone had the skinny suit, the skinny tie, and some bodies don't look that great in it. I'm barrel tested. I had to lose, I was at my thinnest. And I still looked big in those suits. There's nothing you could do. I, when the Armani draping suits, when that in the
Yeah.
80s and early
Oh,
90s,
so good.
I looked good in, that worked for me. Or also I was like, dancing on Broadway. So I was like, a twig, not a twig, but I wasn't as well, let's put it, as well fed as I am now. But I love that, you're not, there's not just one thing. And I think that's also for men and women, there's not just, this is it,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Totally.
you can whatever looks good on you, what works for you. And also, I mean, on another, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I love that. No offense, but I love how you have on a blazer. I know, we're just at home, but
Yeah.
I really like dressing. I think
Yeah. Hell yeah.
when you go out, and maybe this is the old man in me, but to tell the truth, I mean, it was Tom that got me really back into it. I was doing a show on Broadway, and I was playing the lead, and I'll be coming out a stage door, and Tom said one time, he goes like, Brian, you kind of look like you're waiting for your mom to pick you up from. I had on baggy shorts, and it's like, you're playing the lead in a Broadway show. You kind of need to just a little bit dress the part. If we're going out afterwards, like, oh my God, you're right. So then we started. This is also during Mad Men, when we'd fly. I mean, would put on a blazer. Now, I found all these unconstructed jackets and unconstructed loose fit, like some of them are knit or something, or like in the summer a linen with a t-shirt and some cool pants, whatever. And I will tell you, the flight attendants, the people everywhere, they treat you just a little
Oh,
differently
absolutely.
when you're a little
A
Yes.
kid.
100%.
And
Oh yeah.
at restaurants, and this is recent, but I remember going to, it was right after Hamilton had opened. And
Hmm.
a friend of mine was one of the technicians. He was one of the designers, so we got his house seats. And I'd met Lin Manuel several times, and he was a big fan of me. So we go there in these house seats, and it's star studded. It was like literally right after that. And in walks Felicia Rashad, Debbie Allen, dressed to the nines, almost like all they needed was Airedales, dog walking dogs. He was
Right.
gorgeous, and all these other people are put together, and I won't mention their names, but they're big stars, beautiful woman and her boyfriend at the time, in sweats, and she had a scrunchie in her head, no makeup, and I'm like going, it's Saturday night on Broadway in the biggest hit of maybe this century so far. It could be, maybe comb your hair, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh,
You don't
I know
want
I
to
sound like my
shame,
grandmother.
but a part of you also
No,
wants to shame.
but I not necessarily, but just rise to the occasion. All it takes is a little effort. It looks lazy.
Yeah.
It looks like I don't care, or it doesn't matter. And I think things should matter. I think when people are paying that kind of money, I don't know. Maybe I'm just showing my age, but it's like, would it kill you to comb your hair? And then afterwards, rep, press rep came up to certain people in the audience, came up to Debbie Allen and Felicia, came up to me and Tom and asked if we wanted Lin Manuel would like to have you go back some pictures. And they went to this other couple and they're like, well, we're not, because they're not dressed to get their photo, So that's just, I'm sure people are going to bitch and moan, but
it's two sides, right? Like the world is burning and so people should dress,
yeah,
or the
world
world is burning and people shouldn't dress. It's
here's
kind of in the middle.
is a very, very, very wealthy. He used to trade derivatives, and he used to have to wear a suit to the office all this time. And he was dealing with millions and billions of dollars all the time. And then they started with Casual Friday,
Right.
and she's like, oof. And then it got to be Casual Friday was every day, and
Yeah.
she made a good point. She goes, "I'm sorry if I'm handing you millions and millions, and you're dealing with gazillion mama. I want you to look like like you bathed.
Right.
I want
Right.
you to look like you have some, And I think he was so tired of having to wear a suit and everything to work that now, I mean, to get him to put on a blazer to go anywhere, it's like pulling teeth. I'm like, it's crazy. I don't know. I'm sorry to get on that tangent.
No,
I
no,
guess
we
my favorite
we
is
love tangents on this
Well, it
program.
is the
Yeah.
show.
and I had a line. In
Like,
Mad Men. I had a line when I can't remember what it was. It was God season two maybe. And I have a line say in the art department room where one of the guys says, she likes you because you dress like you have money to dress. And I'm like, you don't have to spend a lot of money to look like
yeah.
to dress. You don't have to remember to dress like you do, and especially now. I went to a wedding not too long ago. At a friend of mine's daughter got married. It was a beautiful wedding, and some guy, like, I was in line to sign the thing. I kid you not, cargo shorts and a t-shirt
Oh
to a
no.
wedding, and I didn't say anything, but I wrote in, like, congratulations, we love you. I'm behind the man in cargo shorts.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that might come across as elitist, and if it does, so
I
what?
mean,
I'm
I,
sorry. There are
there
parameters.
are parameters, and you have to follow them. I'm a very casual person
Yes,
these days, but if I'm gonna go to a fucking
but you're
wedding or a
home right now.
funeral,
You
like, put on a shirt, put on
yes.
a tie, put on a suit. Like, it's not that.
And this has been going on for a long time. Tom's from Pennsylvania, and he went in a little town in Pennsylvania, and he went in for his, I think it was grandmother's funeral or something. And like the older women, some of them just all came in sweatsuits and like little, eat like slippers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess you're there, but
Right, right. It's kind of
right,
it's kind of the, like, the phrase when you don't close the door. It's like, oh, did you grow up in a barn? Like, did you not grow up around
exactly.
people? Yeah.
And then I have an aunt who just passed away last year, who I just adored, and she was so dramatically. She dressed like Auntie Mame. I mean, she was not playing around, and she didn't care if it was like, I remember one time to my grandfather's funeral, and I was a freshman in high school. She had black netting wrapped, like this veil wrapped around her head, and had this hat and like a black fur. I mean, it was like, who are you? You're so fantastic at the funeral.
Right.
Yeah.
She would wear hats the size of Cleveland. I mean, she would make a statement, and like, I love that. I love seeing people express themselves, in
Of
fashion
course,
too.
of course. Yeah, like that's
What I
part of
usually say is it's my first creative exercise of the day is
Yeah.
getting dressed, and so like if you want to just wear a t-shirt, fine, but like I will probably look better than you. And that's good, right? That's a benefit.
Well, there's
If
also this.
people are not dressing up.
Well, it's also people. I guess it's a workout culture, but I
And
see.
avoid that by never working out.
I hate it. I had a motto. I have a motto: no pain, no pain.
Hell yeah.
You know,
Nice, nice.
I
Yes,
hated gym
excellent.
class at school. I still hate it. No, all these people wearing, workout clothes to go to the grocery or to go run their errands, or like, you're not at the gym. You're not working out. This is running errands. It's like, I don't
Put
know.
on your errand clothes.
It's on my little, or go to a doctor's appointment, or I don't know, whatever, or go to a board meeting. I've been sat at board meetings where people have come in their workout clothes, sports bra and some Lululemons. No,
It's everything. There's this vast spectrum, and we have gone pretty far to one side. I don't know if we'll ever go
no, you're right. It's not.
really back again, but it's like I
That
think
may
this
try.
just is the way that it is.
It was a phenomenon that a lot of men that had stopped really giving a damn started
Yeah.
to care about how they looked again, and it did garner a lot of attention from the opposite sex or whoever they were trying to attract. Bloomingdale's did a whole big spread on men. All the windows in their stores across the country were Mad Men, and they had a big party for us in New York and dressed us in these suits. I still have the suit upstairs. I think it was a Xenia. Three.
Hmm.
It's great. And they said, "We're like, thank you for this party." They're like, "No, thank you." We're like, it's not been since Miami Vice has it been such a trend or such a push for a certain look, and it's not just one thing. It's the shoes, it's the suits, it's the pants, it's a
The
certain
whole
Right.
tie,
ensemble.
the tight bars, the cuff links, the whole 9 yards. So it was like it did have an impact.
Yeah, we have talked in the previous episodes. We did the first one with two friends of the show that loved Mad Men, and then we did kind of a roundtable, and a lot of the conversation in these shows is how Mad Men and the style and the attention to detail really like influence people that we've been talking to, and I think it was a catalyst in a lot of
For a
ways.
long time too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean,
yeah,
Like it wasn't just like a 2 year kind of thing. I
right,
feel like it was really built foundational clothing knowledge.
right. And I think what happened was when the show progressed into late '60s, and that more counterculture, where like wider ties came in, and
Hmm.
platforms and psychedelia and all this stuff. People were like, wait a minute, you just gave us this. Now it's, and that's what the '60s was. The
absolutely,
'60s flipped everything.
yeah, yeah,
You know, everything.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just,
I mean, you can walk
and
into a
everything comes,
Macy's
everything.
now and get a quote unquote skinny suit that has, things about it that are definitely inspired by the 60s. And, again, they don't fit
Yeah,
everyone and they're mostly garbage, but, it's
yeah.
mainstream now.
But it is. It is. I'm not. I love finding things. I love. Have you ever heard of Lords of Harlech? It's a little,
Mm-mm.
little. It's Lords of Harlech. Harleach. They have these great embroidered pants. I have some wonderful pants by them, and some pattern pants, and like Mr. Turk, Trina Turk may has a men's line called Mr. Turk. I get some of those crazy pattern pants, and but
I'm
anything like
taking notes.
Trina Turk, I mean Mr. Turk, Turk.
Yeah.
They're expensive when they go on sale. Go ahead, because I bought everything on sale. It's kind of it's a little reminiscent of Lily
Right, right,
Pulitzer,
right. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but There's another French thing called perte, P-R-T-E-D apostrophe ego. Perte ego means loss of ego. They have these embroidered camp shirts that are just so cool. I'm in love with them. And then the other thing I love, anything that Todd Snyder does.
Okay,
You
yeah,
ever want
Yeah.
to see
nice.
his stuff? That boutique, it's right in Rockefeller Center. I go in, I'm just going, I want it all, because it's classic
Yeah.
with little twist, and I can do my thing with it. But I really have to go clean out my closets and start over.
Yeah, the wonderful perks of
I
loving
just hold on
clothes.
to things. I hold
Yeah,
on,
that's like part of it though. Like I guess having like a catalog.
right, and I'm going to wear this.
You're gonna keep this for a while. You're gonna let go of this.
Well, one of the perks of Mad Men was that Brooks Brothers, and I still like a lot of things, would dress us for things. And if we had to go to an event and I became friends with, that department there and the PR department. And if I had to go to an opening or whatever, I was like, hey, can I, sure, come on in. And I have all this stuff. It's like, thank God that's never going to go out of style. The
Right.
classic camel hair jacket from Brooks Brothers is never going to go out of style or black. And I think it was also Joseph Abboud had invited us in and asked for a couple of seasons, would make stuff for us to wear to certain things. But that kind of dried up. It
Yeah,
doesn't happen
yeah,
anymore.
Right.
sadly. Uh,
But it's still, I still have some of the things because they're beautifully made and they'll never go out of style.
Totally, totally. Brooks Brothers like basically hasn't changed much since the dawn of time, and so yeah,
Yeah.
the fact that
Believe it or not,
something looks 60s to 90s is fantastic.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. But also, they've changed some of their cuts. They do different cuts for the more trimmer fit, and then and also Tom Brown did a line for them for a while.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Was it the golden?
Oh,
No,
Black
Black
Fleece.
Label.
Yeah.
It was the Black Label, Black Fleece, and I still have. They gave me this gorgeous fleece coat. It's like gray cashmere with these bright silver buttons, kind of a military coat. And because I was going to the Obama inauguration,
Oh God, I went to that too. It was fucking freezing.
freezing, right?
It was so cold.
I was like, it was, oh my God. I had we had this hand warmers, right? Remember they gave you those,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so cold. And what bother, it's a wonderful day. It was great. I was so happy. However, I wanted to like have a little meeting with the police because they kept on misdirecting us. They didn't,
Oh yeah,
they
it was
hadn't
a
had that
real
kind
shit
of
show.
crowd in I don't know how long. And I went, you guys, you do this every 4 years. Come on. Isn't there a game plan? Here it's amazing what the New Orleans Police Department does for Mardi Gras. That they're not. I mean, granted, there's one or two unfortunate murders. This one was one of them. None of them had to do on the parade route. It was some other thing in some other area that had nothing to do. But the crowd control that they accomplish with tens of thousands, I don't remember even more, in the streets, most of them drinking, to control that, I find that fascinating. I said, y'all ought to get together and compare notes.
Yeah, something like because I was like working the inauguration, right?
Uh-huh.
And they didn't really give anyone any directions. There, it was like D-Day paratroopers, kind of like everyone was like not where they were supposed to be, and everyone was like, "Well, what are you?" Like, "I'm group 17. Like, let's go find group 19." It was just really
It was amazing.
chaotic.
We were right behind. I can't remember. Like my brother was friends with one of the really good friends with one of the incoming or whatever, one of the congressmen, and
Yeah,
and they gave him some tickets. And my brother was a Republican. I don't know what if he still is now. I hope not.
yeah.
I know he's not a 45 supporter, but this is how I got to go. So we were invited. Playboy magazine did a spread on some of the guys and some clothes for Mad Men. And in turn, we had been invited a couple times. I went once during the summer to the Playboy magazine, and then we were invited to the
Whoa.
party. So my husband was like, "Nope, I'm not. Please, really." And he goes, "Why don't you ask your brother?" And then my brother's like we're polar opposites. I mean, he's but we're very close. But I mean, that's a bucket list thing since he's been 10 to go to the Playboy Mansion.
Right.
So and he asked his wife, and his wife said, "As long as Brian's there, have fun." So we went, and it was so great. I mean, we had the best time. We had to wear costumes, and you have to drive to a parking lot, and then the bus takes you to the mansion.
Is it in New York? Is it in LA?
LA. It's in LA. It's in
Okay.
the hills. Yeah, it's a compound. It has a zoo and a grotto and all that stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
That's where the reality show is filmed. Anyway, we get there and it's like, there's celebrities, but they're mainly older, like Julie Newmar was there and uh, Jane Russell was still alive. And then all these bunnies on. And my brother, they're like, look at that dress. It's so tight. And I went, Jay, that's paint. And it's kind of funny because we did like the little haunted house and we drank and I showed him the grotto and he met some people and we talked and the bunny we did the photo shoot with us, I introduced him and everything. And he goes, okay, we can go. I'm like, are you sure? Do you want to do it? I'm like, nope, seen it. It's great. Come on, let's go. We went and like, LA kind of rolls up, closes early. There's very few late night places to get something to
Hmm.
eat. So I think we went to the House of Pancakes afterwards. That was
But of course,
but in,
that's like a totally appropriate
yeah,
palate cleanser, I
right.
think.
Thank me. He gave me his tickets to the inauguration. So
Wow.
I got to go to the inauguration. Kind of one.
That's awesome. That's a fantastic.
I assume you're talking about '08.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh
The
wait.
one where it was like it would have been worth going to.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, history.
Totally.
It was,
Unprecedented, yeah. It was unprecedented. Precedented? Anyway.
it was presidentially unprecedented. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was so great.
precisely.
But that was a good memory.
Uh, Brian, the 2020s for better and for worse, with the hell that we're living in at the moment, they're definitely different than the mid to late aughts when Mad Men came out. The
Uh-huh.
fact that Matt wanted a gay man to play your character Salvatore Romano. It kind of
He was very clear about it.
yeah, which is something we've read. It kind of feels, in a way, that was kind of ahead of the curve. Do you kind of feel
I think
that?
so. He told me after that. I do remember when I went in to audition. It was he and Alan and the director, and I read and I can't remember what he said because like no, he had me when he came in, and then I ended up getting it. It was like the easiest I've ever had. It was one audition. Oh, what
Yeah.
happened when you went away, Matt?
Um, I guess Matt's camera just has failed. It's okay.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. I don't know if I 100%. I guess I can't. I'm not good at percentages, but
Me neither.
there's got to be a fine balance of what is acting and what is actual.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
right.
Um, like casting, I love totally mixing casts, unless race or ethnicity has something specifically to do with the story. Like, you can't have, I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't want to say there's a wonderful musical called Ragtime, and it is very clear. They're the white people that live here, New Rochelle. There's the black people in Harlem, and there's the immigrant. There are immigrants coming in, and that is what it is about. That is the story. And I but then on the flip side, I saw years ago this glorious production of all shows, Carousel, the musical Carousel, which is
Mhm.
it's beautiful, and it was completely interracial, and it totally worked. I mean, there it's black, white, Asian, everything. It's the show that gave us Audra McDonald. It was her first Tony Award, and it was just breathtaking. And that is to me the high standard. It's you can't do the color purple and have white people playing those. It doesn't, and you can't have I don't think you could do To Kill a Mockingbird and have Atticus played by a black man. It's just that it is the story. That's just my opinion. And the same thing goes with gay, because for most of my life I had to pretend and act so that I would not be discovered, and that's part of it. So, I mean, is the flip side that I'm not allowed to play straight characters?
Totally, totally.
You know,
Yeah,
is that if you too much of my, and I love that, like, here's, Neil Patrick Harris, known mainly on TV for How I Met Your Mother, and he's out and gay, married, and everything, and still playing different characters, and I think that's fantastic.
certainly.
Same thing with Matt, and but I think I do think it's about the actor, and I do think people, at least the public, are caring less
Yeah,
about someone's actual sexuality.
Well, there's like the dork ass people who are like, Thor can't be black because like Nordic lore
Yeah,
forbids it,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like, well, that's lore, and that's fantasy.
Yeah,
That's not reality. But
exactly.
there was all that big controversy about, Maestro, and him putting on a fake nose, and it was like, oh, this is, insulting, uh, because he was Jewish and blah blah blah. And it was the family. His children said, no, it's perfect because that's what he looks like.
right, right.
Bert had a nose. He had a schnoz. So my grandfather had a big schnoz. So what? But if I was going to be playing my grandfather, I'd have the makeup artist put a schnoz on me. It's the way it is.
Yes.
It's not degrading. It was never about. There's no mention of his nose. It's part of, if you're trying to look like the character. Like, I didn't see Helen Mirren in Golda, but Helen Mirren, not really. You're going to have to work on her to make her look like Golda Meir.
Yes.
Right.
And that's fine with me, because coming from an acting point of view, that's what it's about. You're transforming yourself into something else.
Yeah.
And and I get it. I get it. I'm a firm believer in being seen and being, and that's what I loved about Mad Men. I was able to be. I was already out, and it was no big deal. I just wish Sal would have stayed longer at the fair, but that's the way it is.
right, right. Yeah.
But still to this day, people stopping me on the street, telling me how much they love the show, and like, what happened to Sal? We loved him. So what can I say?
That's phenomenal. And one of the things that I feel like in our research leading up to this, we saw a lot was Sal felt very, and I don't know what you attribute to you personally or the writers in the writer room, but it. I mean that I think that's why it resonated with both of us.
It was the writing. I mean, one great thing about the whole experience, the actors would always accredit the writers, and the writers would always accredit the
Yeah,
actors.
it seemed like there was a lot of
Right.
camaraderie on this show.
There was, and we realized early on we were the little engine that could. Honestly, everyone thought Madman. What Madman? What's that? And it's on AMC. Is it on A? No one, no TV series on AMC. And honestly, our first season, the numbers were so low. If we were on any other network, we would have been canceled. But it was AMC, and Charlie, and Matt, and they believed in it, and then the strike happened, the first
Oh yeah.
strike. So we had to wait. And this is a funny tidbit. I don't know if you know this, but this is before there were 25,000 TV series on every possible network and making up network.
Yeah.
There was ABC, CBS, HBO, Showtime, and now AMC is doing it, and they're doing a quality thing like a Showtime. Well, because there was no product or new product for the network, they decided to go try to take seasons of shows that had been on, and they wanted to put Mad Men on network, and which would have meant we would have made some money because cable's not that good.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's like Broadway. And they went with Dexter instead because of the
Yeah.
smoking and the drinking.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you bring that up because I
Killing is
wanted
a-
to mention this. Like, what a perfect vision of America.
right?
Like the like nice serial killer show is appropriate, but the
Not
cigarette
even smoking.
drinking show is off limits. Yeah, just preposterous.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what?
I can believe that though, because Dexter is I don't want to say like it's a less sophisticated show, but it is a less sophisticated show. It's not about real emotion. It's about like the
Vengeance.
ice truck killer.
Yeah, right. But listen, I don't think I have family members. I think my nieces had not seen the whole. I mean, they're like, but while they were in college and high school, like the teachers would find out I was on it or whatever, or their friends and like they'd want autograph pictures and stuff like that. I said, then you watch this show and come back with a book report on it.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. Be a real
yeah,
fan.
Yeah, but it is very it starts off slow. It's not what I loved about it is it's very theatrical, but it's not going to spoon feed anything. There's so many layers to it. You can watch, and that's why I think they aired the episodes back to back. So when you watched it again, if you stayed up and watched it again, you could see so much more.
oh, I,
You know,
I
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you how many times I've watched literally front to back the whole. But I told Connor this while
wow.
we've been doing our project. Like I pick up something new every single time that I watch, and that like for a show that has been off air for about a decade, like that's huge.
Yeah, yeah. They really it was so amazing to be a part of it. I really still pinch myself because mainly I'd done big Broadway shows before that. Subtlety was not my thing.
Right, right.
I remember one of my friends. Well, first of all, my favorite thing that happened was my high school acting teacher, Kitty Greenberg, called right after the first episode aired, and she was one of the first people that called. Well, I already talked to my mom, and she called, and you just knocked it out of the ballpark, buddy. I was going on. It was the first time I had a big scene. I think it was the scene at the bar and at the restaurant when the guy tries to pick me up, and I kind of rebuff him,
Right.
and then the next person that called not too long after that was Joan Rivers. I had done readings of a play that she had
Wow.
and they did this article in the New York Times of me and my husband at a little carriage house, and she was just so kind and so supportive. She this is a totally random thing, but she wanted me to do this readings of this play that she had written, and I did it, and then I was out of town and I wasn't in New York, and she flew me up, and had me for the reading, and I ended up not being able to do the play. She did it in England, and I was filming, and I couldn't do it. But it never came in. It never came to Broadway, and it should have. It was really good. It was about her life, and but what a kind and supportive, wonderful woman she really was. That all was the rest of it was an act. It was an act. She was just so good.
Yeah.
And John Hamm's
That's
a
what I've
good
always
guy too.
heard.
He's a great guy. He's a stand-up guy.
That's awesome. Good to hear.
I
They all
wanted to ask about Baltimore, which has significance for me because I live in Baltimore, right? But Sal is from Baltimore, Matt Weiner is from Baltimore, Don's final wife
right.
also from Baltimore.
Baltimore.
What's the deal with that? Like
I
is it
know.
like is there a significance? I mean, is
You
Sal
know,
from Baltimore because they wanted to do the scene at the hotel
I don't know,
at the
but
Belvedere?
we didn't go to Baltimore because it was filmed in L.A.
LA,
Right.
right?
I don't know. Maybe Matt just wanted to have some homage to his
A
hometown.
little like more
Yeah.
color. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was awesome to see ever really.
When we
So
were filming the pilot, I was doing a play at the time. I ended up having to miss the first preview because we were filming the pilot, and I was exhausted. And when I get exhausted, a hint of my southern accent comes in, and I remember them saying that and like going, saying like, I'm like, be careful. I think, but Baltimore doesn't have that big of a southern accent. There's that.
but it is a southern
It
place
is
and you have to come here to know that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. No, I've been here once. I've been to
Yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah.
But I had a guy who put my wig on, and he was the wig guy and he had one of those really thick Baltimore.
Yeah,
Baltimore, one of
yeah,
those
it's
accents. It's crazy. That
it
that
would be nice to have any accent, I think, but the Baltimore accent would be a special one to have.
oh, it is. I remember. Didn't I think John Travolta did one in a really thick one in Hairspray
Yeah.
when he did that.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
just like It's like a mutated Irish dialect.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, but I love it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like nothing else, and I think that uniqueness is something that really stands out about Baltimore.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did the accent because when you guys are on the plane,
Yeah, I can't produce it.
yeah, but also when you guys are on the plane flying to see the London Fog people in Baltimore, I
Right.
feel like your southernness came out so hard because like the southern accent was just like natural for you, and we had a throwaway
Right.
question.
And I try. It wasn't too much. I mean, it didn't, we didn't want like they didn't want like Georgia like that.
Right.
Just a hint.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I mean, New Orleans has its own thing in the South, anyway.
Oh God. Yeah, it's New Orleans, the real New Orleans accent. Well, there's a bunch, but the real, one that people like Harry Connick still has a little bit of it. We call it a Yat accent, kind of like, well, yeah, don't how's your mama
Right,
now?
right.
It's
Yeah,
Hmm.
almost like a little Brooklynese.
yeah. It's got a little bit of
How
that
y'all
like
been?
Brooklynese, like and French influence.
It's like urban.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Then there's Cajun, which is totally
Right.
different.
Oh God.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all so good. It's so, so, so
yeah.
good.
accents all over this country. It's crazy,
It
crazy,
it
crazy.
totally is. So
I just had to do for something an Oklahoma accent, and I was trying to figure out, how because it could be the well anyway we don't want to talk
There's a
accent.
Cajun restaurant in Baltimore called Talulu, which,
Tallulah,
yeah,
not
yeah,
Tallulah, Tallulah.
Talulu, right? Which is crab, apparently.
I didn't know that.
so Brian, just to kind of like round out everything, you mentioned the play that you were that you wrote with Tennessee
Uh-huh.
Williams words, but what's next for you?
And mine. Who knows? Right now, I'm healing my foot and hopefully I had to turn down some things because at one point I could not put any weight on it. So there's a film, two films that are, I think almost finished editing and looking for distribution. So we'll see. It's all good. Who knows? The funny thing about being an actor, you never know what's going to happen
Right,
tomorrow.
right.
So it keeps me
Can
busy.
can I ask about the Wiener Dog Chronicles? Because I saw that
Just
not only are you in the Wiener Dog Chronicles once, you're in the
twice.
sequel, Wiener
Yeah,
Dog Chronicles International.
international. I think they're going to do a next one, Wiener Dog Intergalactica.
Nice.
Um,
Hell
Hell
yeah!
yes.
Look at
and
that, dude.
you know,
That's
here's
franchise
the
money.
story. One of my best friends, we met in college together, my friend Rachel, and this is her son. This is a burgeoning little actor, and he's my godchild. And he got cast in Wiener Dog Nationals. And they were talking, and she said, they're still looking for this judge. Kind of, she goes, well, his godfather's, Bryan Batt, and Mad Men I'd just been written off. And they goes, do you think he'll do it? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. Because she's like, would you do it and just like be on the set with him and help him? Because she doesn't know. So we did, and it was like Morgan. I had scenes with Morgan Fairchild, and Morgan Fairchild and I are friends now. I did Morgan Fairchild. So, um, and it was what it was. It was silly. But I tell you, so many people come up. They go, I know you from. I'm like that talking like Mad Men. Like, no, Wiener Dog now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not mocking you, of course. I think it's
No,
amazing. I think your whole you have acted in a lot of different things.
crazy shit. One thing I did recently that I really had fun was a movie called Pinball. The
Yeah, where you were the pinball guy, right?
I was no, I was the art director for GQ magazine circa 1975, and the man really
Wow.
existed. And I had friends who knew models of that era, and they put me in touch with them, and I just talked to them about this guy. Physically, I was nothing like him, but I tried to. But it's a fun movie. I really enjoyed that. And then another movie I enjoyed that I love it when they just offer you the thing and you don't have to put on tape. But this other one, a friend of mine wrote. She asked me to be in it. A small part, but it's called American Reject. And my friend Kathleen Montleon was in that on the TV reality show. You're the one that I want when they were trying to cast the revival of Grease
Oh
via
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
reality,
oh boy.
and she was the runner up. And she made up this whole thing based on a reality talent show kind of thing, and it's hysterical. I'm trying to think about other things I loved. 12 Years a Slave was great, except so much of my stuff got cut. Literally, my same friend, she lives in LA, Rachel, and she went to one of the screenings. They test the movies out before, and she calls me, late. She goes, "It's long, but you are all over this movie. You are all over it." I said, "Well, really?" Because I just had four scenes, and then when I went to the premieres,
Oh no!
and I think I did the only Adam Sandler Judd Apatow movie that didn't do
What?
well.
Wait, what movie was this?
Of 20 people.
Oh,
I think I saw that one.
I have not seen that one.
That's filmed forever, and I have one scene left. Me, Sarah Silverman, and all these other people are only at the end, and there was this whole other storyline that it was cut. It's so crazy. Like you do this, really, really. But anyway, who knows?
Well, Bryan,
Something might have.
man, this has been incredible, and we are very excited to finish off this series with an interview with you.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
for that. I appreciate
thank
it.
you for sure. And we always like to give our guests a chance to shout out whatever they want to. So
Well then, I'm going to be perfectly self-serving. Go visit hazelnutneworleans.com. That's our store. You can buy things online.
yes, please do.
But you know what? All I can say is the big shout out is vote to save democracy. That's all.
Nice.
You know,
Nice. Well,
right? Remember women.
what's that?
Think about
Yeah,
women.
think about
too.
women.
Think about the women when you vote.
Think about
Think about democracy. Just a few important
of
things.
course.
And shopping at Hazelnut.
And shop. Yeah, please go buy things from Hazelnut. This is not a paid sponsorship, but Bryan Batt was.
No,
But it could
be. It could be eventually. One more time.
Thank you all. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. What is your Instagram?
Oh, Bryan_Batt. BRYAN_.
Yeah, follow.
It has a little blue check. Finally got a blue check.
Finally got a blue check. Yeah.
I was like, don't you know who I thought I was going to be for 15 minutes?
Follow for some really good outfit inspiration. That's all I'll say.
All right. Well, now I'll just take more pictures of outfits.
Yes. Anyway, everyone, thank you for sticking around for our Oral History of Mad Men as We Know It series. This is the finale, and it's been fucking. I am.
Thank you.
At Rebels Rogues on Instagram.
And I am at Real Connor Nunez.
Yeah. If you've got questions, concerns, shoot us an email at apocalypsestuds@gmail.com or give us a follow on Instagram at apocalypsestuds. And as always, thank you for listening.
Ciao.
Ciao.